My name is Vasquez. I go by Vasquez. I'm the security lieutenant for the day shift team here. My job is to oversee the team, to make sure that we are using our de-escalation skills, our evade skills when making contact with the clients. We're showing CREED, if you know what CREED is. So basically it's like compassion, respect, empathy, empowerment, and dignity. We're practicing that along while we're making contact with, staff, with vendors, with clients, with one another, being respectful. And then I do response. I attend to calls when needed. Just do almost a little bit of everything.
Interaction with an agitated, unhoused individual with a psychological condition. What would be the proper approach to diffuse and minimize the escalation without the need to resort to force or call to authorities?
Okay, so when we show up, we want to stay calm and speak in a soft, respectful tone.
Yeah.
We try to keep our distance so we're safe, so we remain safe. We want to listen to the individual without interrupting, avoid any type of arguing.
Yeah.
And then we give simple and clear instructions. So basically we're, being clear, we're repeating what we're asking them, but, in a respectful manner. Then we want to focus on calming the situation. So basically at the end of the day, we're not there to win. We're not there to win. We're not there to overpower somebody, show our authority.
Yeah.
We just want to be respectful and try to get them to comply with what we're asking. Yeah.
That's a great answer. You're not there to win. I love that. This is a good escalation without the need to resort to force or call to authorities.
All right, I wrote my answer for that.
Okay.
It says, we here at Father Joe's, we diffuse many situations with many individuals, and we pretty much get the person to calm down. We're going to approach them, going to introduce ourselves, and pretty much you just ask them random questions just to get their mind off of being angry at you.
Yeah.
Or whatever situation.
Or feeling targeted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask them questions and, they might, calm down. But we deal with people like that every week.
Exactly.
Every week somebody's yelling at us, screaming or whatever, and we don't want to take them down. We don't want to arrest them or whatever. We just talk to them, and a lot of times, most of the people, they just want to be heard.
That's true.
All the time. I get people that are mad at me all the time, and they walk by to ask me a certain question. A lot of times I don't answer yet because they're not stopping. They're just asking me, and they keep going. They're like, hey, what time is lunch? But if they stand in front of me and they ask me something, then I'll answer their questions, and I'll just direct them to what they need.
Yeah.
So.
It's like I said, it's the approach and everybody they have different approach and scenario, but there's no right or wrong answer. It's just sometimes in the moment certain things present itself, and you use all knowledge and experience at that moment.
A lot of people, they have me answer these questions because I've been here one of the longest. But one time I was accused in a situation where we had a problem with one individual number one, but then there was his best friend there, and his best friend kept yelling for us to do our jobs. I was telling him to calm down, so we had to take down individual one and handcuff him. So the other friend was coming to fight me.
Oh, okay.
And I'm yelling at him, but then I saw the guy's fist balled up, and I was like, man, this is getting out of hand a little bit. So I put my hands up just to show I'm no threat. I'm not trying to fight him. I put my hands up. I'm like, sorry, me and you, we both need to calm down. I'm sorry about it. Because I'll apologize, because a lot of times people think that just because you apologize, you're weak.
Yeah.
I apologize at first to get the person to calm down.
Yeah, exactly.
If not, then,
Well, it's like that movie, what do you call it, Roadhouse, I don't know.
Roadhouse.
Remember when he said, be nice and told the woman not to be nice.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work that way all the time, I just see it.
That guy calmed down, and then he apologized to me. He started crying.
Yeah.
And trying to hug me. A lot of the guys, they just want to be heard, and they just want
that's the
just the right attention.
The best thing, that's really beautiful what you said. Really valuable information you gave me now. One of the best, because that statement, they just want to be heard.
Yeah.
So true, because In a hypothetical interaction with an agitated, unhoused individual, unhoused, I mean, is like homeless,
Yes.
yeah? With a psychological condition, what would be the proper approach to diffuse and minimize the escalation without the need to resort to force or call to authorities?
Honestly, just talking.
Just talking, yeah.
Just talking as much as you can. Obviously, there's going to be a point where if the individual becomes a danger to himself, others, you're going to have to go hands on. But just talking, de-escalation,
Yes, yeah.
and a lot of it is like, kind of like, you ever heard of verbal, like
Judo. Yeah,
Yes,
she was
yeah.
telling me about it.
So a lot of it is like that. Like if you have something to bargain with, it's a lot easier to get people to comply. Like sometimes you give them a plate or something. Like, hey, if you just leave, we'll give you a plate.
Yeah.
Um,
Diplomacy.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
diplomacy. And I like that answer. You know, it's a really good answer because it's true. Talking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not losing anything by talking. You know.
Yeah.
First question is: in a hypothetical interaction with an agitated, unhoused individual. Unhoused individual, by that I mean homeless. But yeah, you know, it's a better word. I feel like, you know, sometimes I think homeless is kind of like rough. I was homeless myself. Like at some point, I was sleeping in my car. I mean, not really homeless. I mean, I was. What do you call me? Carless? Well, I had a car actually. So, but you know, so agitated individual with a psychological condition. What would be the proper approach to diffuse and minimize the escalation without the need to resort to force or call the authorities?
So, say
You can read it if you want, like, I mean,
Sure.
to understand.
yeah,
Because
so
I was going fast.
no worries, you're good. So like in any type of like interaction, you know, that we end up having with anybody, and if it's specifically someone, you know, who's like agitated, say around here, a lot of times you just want to pretty much like see just like what like the, you know, issue is. Like a lot of time people can be quick to, you know, like enforce like whatever, you know, if like a policy is being broken or something like that, quick to enforce it rather than understand like where the person's like coming from first. So like first, you know, encountering anybody like that, and we teach like something called like evade here, which is like de-escalation, and it shows you like how to pretty much like go about speaking to people who may be in this type of scenario, or even in like other workplaces. I'm one of the instructors for that. So encountering someone like this is just, you know, understanding where they're coming from first, taking time, you know, hear them out, understanding like the situation before you even like create like a response. Because a lot of time when you're dealing with people here, you can kind of like when you hear them like speak for a second, you can kind of understand like what's going on. Like, okay, I get, you know, where we're at now. Say if like, you know, like they're agitated, but it's like multiple different topics just being like thrown in like one thing, right? Or like the things that they're saying aren't necessarily making any sense. You kind of know like, you know, what it is that you're dealing with. But like the proper approach like to that is just taking time to hear them out, because like a lot of times like clients here, even if like you may not understand what they're saying, they just want to, you know, feel like they're heard and everything like that. So you just take the time to listen to them, whatever it is that they have to say. And a lot of times when we just like let someone like just talk, like that alone like can like just diffuse everything. And because like force is obviously like the last thing that, you know, we would want to use here, and you know, it's not something we necessarily want to do. So a lot of times we may offer like, you know, we offer like meal plates or like sack lunches or something like that. Like, you know, if we, you know, offer this, could it make, you know, their time better or like their day better or something like that. So it can all like depend on like the scenario and like what's going on. So it's like understanding like where they're at first, and then you create like your response after that.
That's a very good answer. I love that answer because I think you spoke with experience here, because they want to be heard. That's the main word. In a hypothetical, oh, that's the outline, and then the questions are yeah. So in a hypothetical interaction with an agitated, unhoused individual with a psychological condition, what would be the proper approach to diffuse and minimize the escalation without the need to resort to force or a call to the authorities?
I mean, I think just this one just depends on if you know the individual has like some mental disorders. We deal with a lot of people that have schizophrenia. So like you know, people that feel like, oh, they're being chased, someone's following
Yeah.
them, or someone's going to hurt them. Obviously, those are a little bit of signs. But, you know, when I try to deal with someone that's schizo, you know, just basically try to reinforce, like, they're safe, but as well as try to get them to understand, like, okay, like, I can't see the threat, but you can. That's because that's how they feel, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, try to acknowledge it basically, and then try to put them into a different location, try to talk to them, communicate with them. You know, just pretty much try to hear them out. You know, they sometimes just want to be heard, so I let them vent. At the end of the day, sometimes we can't always de-escalate something. We try to talk to them,
Yeah.
communicate with them. You know, if we can't de-escalate, then we try to call PER or MCRT. They're the ones that deal with individuals that have mental disorders more. But you know, always just pretty much talking to them, trying to communicate with them. So, yeah.
That's a good point you made about the PERT, you know, because I think you were the first one to mention it. PERT, yeah, it's like psychiatric emergency response team, isn't it? Yeah, and they kind of like, they have like, I think two of them with
PD.
with PD. There's not a lot of them, and they do help, you know. But like, I mean, sometimes the resources are not there, and it's kind of like very valuable. Hypothetical interaction with an agitated, unhoused individual with a psychological condition, what would be the proper approach to diffuse and minimize the escalation without the need to resort to force or call to the authorities? Okay, that's
The first one. Well, with my experience, I'd say just, you know, approach as friendly as I can. That's what I've always done here.
That's the best approach. Yeah,
that's the best. It's just the best
I
approach.
know.
You know, we're in a job where they just see our uniform and either they confuse us with police or they just don't like
That's very
you
true.
know security pretty much. So
You know,
it's just usually just asking. Mainly, if you show concern, that kind of also de-escalates the whole situation. You
that's
know?
a good answer. Yeah.
What do they need or